Congratulations, all of you, on your funding. We've been receiving more and more applications, and we've been funding more organizations every year, which of course means that the funding is becoming more competitive every year. I want to thank you for all of the hard work that you have put into your applications and into the review process. So this year, we received 205 applications, which is more than any other year, and we have funded 193 organizations through Tier 2. And ultimately, this ended up being about $3.7 million requested, and then there were about $2.3 million in funding that were able to be dispersed. So this is us, in case you haven't met any of us in person yet. Kirsten Darrington is the director. She's on the left-hand side in this photo. In the middle is Daniel Sergios, who is here with me. He is our intern for the next couple of months, and we're very grateful to have him. And then I am our program coordinator. My name is Jen Waterhouse. I'm on the right-hand side there. Whenever we're at events or if ever you see us, please feel free to come up and say hi. We love meeting everyone, and we will, this upcoming January, be having another open house that we will be repeating annually so that you can come and meet us and see everything that's happening. We are a 2 full-time staff person and occasional intern program. We do our best to make sure that we are helping you with everything that you need. So if there are things that you're missing along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out, because we want to make sure that you're getting all the support that we can help with. We're going to start off by going over the contractual obligations and expectations, and then we'll move on to the other optional opportunities that you have available. Very first, the use of your funds. So your contract limits your use of ZAP funds to allowable expenses, and you're of course expected to expend them on activities that you've identified in your 2019 application. If at any point in time you need a reminder of exactly what it was you requested funding for, you can go back to question 13 in your application, and that's where you would have outlined it more specifically for our board when they were reviewing your application. Of course, ZAP does understand that if you receive less money than the amount projected during approval, that your activities may be adjusted accordingly. If you no longer are able to do some of the activities stated in your application, please contact us so that we can have a conversation with you about that. So just as a reminder, there are things that ZAP funds cannot be used for. Generally speaking, if you're sticking with the things that you requested in your funding, you're good to go. But this is just a reminder of those things. So ZAP funds can't be put toward any events outside of Salt Lake County, endowments, accumulated deficits or debt retirement, capital improvements, lobbying expenses, anything where you're taking the money and transferring it to another individual or organization. So you can't re-grant, you can't provide scholarships, you can't provide it as cash prizes. But if ever you have a question, you can always come back to this, or this is also on our website. It's also in the information provided in your application that you can go back and read through the instructions. One of the things that we'll have you do when you go in, and we'll show you exactly where to find your contract, but looking here, you can see the header up along the top with all of the tabs where the green arrow is pointing to the ZAP 2019 Tier 2 contract tab. When you come into here, this is where all your contract text is, and it's where you will digitally sign for your contract. And then you will have some contract exhibits that you'll need to save out. Everyone will have 2 contract exhibits. The first one will be a copy of your application that we'd like for you to please save into your records. And then the second one will be a copy of our logo usage and acknowledgement guide. And then some organizations will have received an Exhibit 3 letter, which is a funds restriction letter. That means that there was something in your application that was an ask that would have fallen within that list that we just showed you of things that ZAP funds cannot be expended for. And it'll be really specific. It'll tell you exactly what you mentioned in your application, and then why that couldn't be used, why it's not eligible for ZAP funding, and just ask you to use the funds that you do receive on all of the other things that you requested that were applicable for ZAP funds. So when you go in there, we'll ask you to download each of those, and then you will sign for each of them, and there will be a box on the right-hand side that you'll be able to type your signature into, and we'll show you how to do that. The logo guide is a very important part of this. There are many of you who have been funded for a number of years, and so this will be familiar to you, but we do ask that every year you have your marketing and promotion staff and anyone involved in this review it again just to make sure that you are up to date and prepared for the next year. If you could please provide this guide to your marketing and promotion staff, have them review it carefully. If they have any questions, let us know. Over the next year, your organization may end up receiving contact from us regarding ZAP logo usage in the event that it's not following the guidelines laid out in this guide. We are going to be sending out a new copy of the ZAP logo guide in probably another month that will have a couple of small updates, but when we send that, we'd like for you to re-review that, and then we'll just be keeping our eyes open if there are any tweaks to logo usage that we need people to be able to do. As a part of your acknowledgement, one of the things we have available to you are signs and banners, so you don't need to get those printed yourself. Many organizations already have these, and if you have them with your organization's materials and you're continuing to use them year after year, that's wonderful. You don't need to turn them back into us every year. If you need more or if you need new ones because they're wearing out, you can let us know and we'll get them for you. Or if you're one of the new organizations who's being funded this year, we'd love to be able to get you some banners. We have a couple of sizes. We have large ones and smaller ones. And then we have these Coroplast signs that you can use or hang up as well. So please let us know if you need them, and we'll be sure to get them to you. Another contractual obligation that you have is to invite the advisory board to at least one event every year. So this helps board members experience the work that your organization is doing. We have streamlined the process for having you invite board members to your events by having an invitation form that we've placed online. So our website is zapisu.org. Along the left-hand side, we have a menu, and we have a link that we've renamed to Tools for Currently Funded Grantees. And we're working on putting useful links and things that you may need here so that it's an easy one-click into it. So you can see second down, we have the advisory board invitation form. This is a Google form. You don't need to have a Gmail address in order to submit it, but this will ask you for all the information that we need to be able to give that invitation over to the board. Typically, we ask that you send your invitations in advance of your event, and we recommend 3 to 4 weeks. This allows us to have the event sent out to the board with enough time for them to plan and then get back to you by whatever your RSVP date is. So we'll ask you to tell us about the event, who they should RSVP to, and then there'll be some places where you can add any comments for what the board needs. We do ask that you use this form in lieu of sending email invitations to us as staff or for dropping off physical invitations or tickets. And we found that this works best for the board and the way that they're able to set up their schedules. So this is the way that they prefer to receive the invitations. We do want to make sure that everyone knows that we don't expect you to invite Tier 2 advisory board members to your fundraising events. We completely understand that everyone should pay to attend fundraising events. So we recommend that you invite them to your regularly scheduled events. Of course, you can invite them to whatever you'd like, but we don't want you to feel obligated to invite them to something that you would typically be using for fundraising instead. If you're a museum or an organization that has regular open hours for people to attend a facility, feel free to invite them to visit your facility during regular hours. And then the same is true for free events. You can invite your board members to those, or say if you have school programs and there's one that you'd like to invite board members to, you can use this invitation form to invite them to any of those. And then that helps them to have the clear memory of what you do and the important work that you do in the community when they go into review again next year. Now, another obligation within the contract is that you are required to post your events to NoPlain Utah. NoPlain Utah, if you haven't used it before, is a one-stop shop for residents and visitors to find out what's going on in our community. It's currently being managed by the Utah Cultural Alliance, which has just happened recently, which is great. And I know that you'll be seeing improvements and changes happening to the website itself as they have been evaluating and putting really great changes in place. So as you're using that more, you'll see more of that coming through. You'll see up in the upper right-hand side, that is where you will click to submit an event, and it'll walk you through there. As part of your evaluation, you will be asked specifically to show that you have posted some of these to the site. So we would recommend that as you're doing it, just take a screen grab of it and save it somewhere so that you can easily attach that to your evaluation later. Speaking of evaluations, you will have to submit an evaluation for your funding, and your evaluation should be completed in Zoom grants as soon as your funded activities are complete. The evaluations are our way of going through and seeing how you use the funding and how the process went for you for using the funding, and it has sections in there to not only report on what you did, but also if you encountered any challenges and how you worked through them. So as a part of your evaluation, as mentioned in the previous slide, you'll be asked to verify how you're acknowledging ZAP. So please, as you're going through, retain PDFs of that you have that uses the ZAP logo, and we recommend taking photos of ZAP recognition at your events that you could include in that as well. And then, like I said before, please be sure you're taking screenshots of your event postings on NoPlain Utah, just so we can make sure that that is being continually done as each organization moves through their funding cycles. It is important to note that failure to submit an evaluation will disqualify your organization from future funding. The very final deadline for your evaluation is March 31st, 2 years after your reward cycle, but we do strongly recommend completing it as soon as the activities you've requested for funding are complete, so that it's fresh in your mind and you're providing as accurate and current information as you can. In terms of how we will keep in contact with you all, there are a few things that we'll ask you to do. We have definitely tried to cover some issues this past year of people not receiving emails from Zoom grants. So the best way we found for that is either working with your own email if you manage it, or if you have a network administrator, to make sure that any emails from zoomgrants.com are on your email server's whitelist or safe sender list. You'll be receiving information from notifications at zoomgrants.com for the most part, and that information will be sending you from there. We also ask that you keep up-to-date information for your contact information for staff. You can change this information within your Zoom Grants profile at any time. If there is a changeover of staff in your organization, though, and you no longer have access to the Zoom Grants account that created your application, please let us know. We can work with Zoom Grants and help you to get that access to your organization's application again. Unfortunately, with your own profiles on there, we can't go in and update your contact information for you if, say, you need to update an email address or a mailing address. That's something that you'll need to do on your own. But if for some reason you can't actually get into that account, we can help you to get access to the account. And then anytime you have a change in your contact information, we of course would appreciate it if you can send us a quick email just for our records, and it helps us to make sure that we are up to date in the event that we notice anything that needs to be changed down the line. And then last, our ZAP monthly newsletter is our main point of contact with you throughout the year. So we strongly recommend that anyone in your organization who's going to be involved with your ZAP funds receive it. You can sign up for this newsletter on that page that I mentioned a little earlier when we were showing you the advisory board invite form. It's the Tools for Currently Funded Grantees page, and there is a link there that will allow you to go and sign up for that newsletter. Those are the contractual obligations that are most important for you to be aware of. It is important that you go through and read your whole contract in its entirety, because there are some other nuances that you'll probably want to be aware of, but those are the biggest pieces that you'll need to know. In terms of opportunities that are optional and are not required, one of the things that we do ask you to do is please add our email address, przap@slco.org, to your mailing lists, because we are committed to spreading the word about your events, your organization, and your work as best as we humanly can with our two-person operation here, that we want to be able to maximize your exposure and make sure that the community really knows all of the good work that you're doing and that you are putting those tax dollars to really good use. So please send us those press releases and newsletters, or anything you think we might find interesting. If you have good photos, please send them to us. We use that email address to create Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter posts for our followers, and we do work really hard to try to highlight especially free and discounted events, since that's something that's particularly relevant to them as an audience. So the things that you're sending out to your own mailing lists are the things that we would love to be sure that we're receiving. There are a few other opportunities that we want to make sure everybody knows about to highlight your organization. And again, these are not contractual obligations. They are just opportunities. Like I said, we love sharing your photos and videos on social media. So please tag at SLCO ZAP on Facebook and Instagram in posts to let us know what you're up to. And then that gives us a little bit of a poke and a reminder that they're happening so that we can share them. Just so you know, ZAP's Facebook and Twitter, we frequently cover what is happening. And then on Instagram, we work to try to gear that more toward why everyone is doing all of this work, which of course we show best through compelling images. So we love sharing those with followers. Another thing for everyone to know is that we do run a weekly giveaway through our Facebook page called ZAP Ticket Tuesday. It's a really popular program that's a great opportunity to highlight your paid events and to thank the public for their support of ZAP. These are usually scheduled a couple of months in advance, and I would recommend that you contact us as soon as you know that you would like to set one up. So if you'd like to set one up, if you have questions, you can send me an email. However, if you go back to that Tools for Currently Funded Grantees page on our website, there is a form there that you can fill out to submit a request, and then I'll contact you back and we can set a date for it. Another opportunity we have is that we do have a blog on our website for featuring stories and successes that you have, and this provides a really important narrative, especially to our elected officials, that we share it with and the public. If you want to write a blog entry about something that you'd like shared that you've done, we'd love to post it, and then we share it out on social media. If you're interested, I can give you more information about that, and I'll have you just send me an email, and we'll make sure you have that at the very end of the presentation. And then last, we just closed our third very successful year for the ZAP Kids Summer Passport, constantly being improved, and many of you gave us some really good feedback this past year, so thank you for that. It is a program that runs June through August in which families visit participating grantee organizations as destinations, is what we call it, to get a stamp for the passport book that we provide for them. And then at the end of summer, kids who visit at least 5 of these destinations attend a special end-of-year party. And a destination can be anything from a program that you guys have going on during summer, or it can just be your facility. There are a lot of different options. It's an excellent way to help make summer programming more accessible for all of the members of our community. And it's also a great way to highlight your existing program and summer events and just give it a little bit of a boost. And it allows us to help promote you a little bit more as well. And I'll be sending an email regarding this next year's passport destination signups at the beginning of next year. It is important to remember that the grant funding that you received is considered public funds. The county may audit your use of funds as necessary because of this. Failure to comply with the terms of the contract is grounds for withholding public funds and could be grounds for terminating future funding as well. Now that Salt Lake County has approved the Cycles Tier 2 awards, all of the applications that were submitted, minus protected information like board contact information, are now considered public record, which means that the public can request a copy of your ZAP application. If this happens, we will let you know that someone requested it, and then we'll provide that over to them. But we'll make sure that you are fully informed if that request ends up coming through. Now, a couple of more technical pieces of information that will be important for you to note. Your funds are going to be dispersed to you in 2 installments. So the first one will be around January 2020. It'll be within January, and it'll be 60% of your award amount. And then the second installment will be around May 2020, and that will be the remaining 40%. Just so everyone knows, if tax revenues change and overall projected awards do need to be adjusted, we'll make sure that you'll be fully informed of that, and then your second payment would be adjusted. In order to make sure that your organization receives these funds in a timely manner, please be sure that you have a current vendor management form submitted to the county. This will provide your direct deposit information to the county. And this should be completed well before the beginning of this next year to make sure that there is no delay in getting you your payment. If you need to sign up for direct deposit because you haven't yet, or if you need to update your bank account information, you can download the vendor management form from the Tier 2 page of our website. If you go to the Tier 2 page, there's a tab that says contractual obligations, and it's there. We'll also send out a link so that you can have that just ready for you if you need it. In the event that we find out we don't have a current vendor management form from you, you may be receiving an email from me asking you to update that information for us sometime between now and the end of the year. One of the things that is also outlined in your contract is that as a recipient of ZAP funds, it's expected that you maintain a reasonable and appropriate amount of insurance in accordance with industry standards. Since the ZAP program doesn't dictate what that might be for your industry, we expect that you know what that is and to have the appropriate level of insurance required for your organization or event. So when you do come to your contract, we ask that you read it thoroughly, and then please share it with any individuals in your organization who might be interacting with your ZAP funds. So this would include your board leadership, development, finance, marketing staff or volunteers. We also strongly recommend that you have these individuals watch the video of this workshop if they're not already here with us once we've released it so that they can be familiar with it as well. You can also add these key people as collaborators to your application at any point in time so that they can have online access, and I will walk you through how to add someone as a collaborator here shortly. We ask that you be sure that you have your contract signed by October 25th. This is really important because of the amount of time that it takes for us to internally process the contracts at the county. So in order to make sure that you do get your payments in a timely manner in January, this is an important date for us to hit. So if you have any struggles at all with accessing your contract, or if the person who needs to sign it is having trouble with their account, please let us know, and I'm very happy to help fix that for you or to help walk you through it if you need to. We are going to go ahead and actually show you how to sign this contract, though. So one of the first things to be sure of is that the person with contractual authority to sign the contract has access to the contract, and this person needs to have their own Zoom Grants account. We are sometimes asked who this person is who would have the authority to sign it, and that is ultimately up to your organization who has the contractual authority. They need to be an individual who, if there are any issues with your contract, that the county can speak with them as a representative for your organization who has the authority to contractually bind you. So that is up to you, and we trust your organizations, like the insurance, to choose whoever that is most appropriately for your organization. So when you go to Zoom Grants to log in, you go to zoomgrants.com/login, and that'll take you to the login page. However, if you go just to zoomgrants.com, the actual login button is not always the most apparent thing, so it is right here in the upper left-hand corner in the event that individuals are new to this process and need to know where to find it. But if you come in to here, for those of you who will be signing your application, you'll have it over here if you're either the applicant or if you are a collaborator. It'll be under approved applications. So you'll go ahead and click your ZAP 2019 Tier 2 application, and it will take you to here. There's a bunch of text up top. These are your instructions. You can hide each of them so that they go away for a moment. And then this should all look familiar because it is the same structure as when you submitted the application. So the tab that will be new now is this, the ZAP 2019 Tier 2 Contract tab. So we'll have you go ahead and click into there. We have some instructions. These are all reminders of what we've already just discussed. So I'm going to go ahead and I will hide that, but if you need it, it's there. And then here is your contract. So we'd ask that you please read through the contract thoroughly, even if you have read it in previous years, just so it is fresh in your mind. If you need to save a PDF of your contract to share with someone else in your organization, you can come back up to the top, and then this button right here, Save ZAP 2019 Tier 2 Contract as PDF, is where you're able to save that. But we'll go all the way down to the bottom. We've read the contract. And then these are the exhibits that we talked about earlier. So everyone will have Exhibit 1. And you will go into that. This will be a print preview of your application, and you can come up to the right over here and you can save it as a PDF, or you can print it out if you would like, but please do one or the other, whichever way you retain records, so that you have a copy of this year's application on hand. And then it'll take you to a link of the logo guide, which you can then download right here so that you have a copy of that for your organization as well. And then if you have an Exhibit 3 letter, you'll download that as well. Now, not everyone will have that, but you can go ahead and save that into your files as well. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and sign for each of these exhibits. Whenever you're signing for your contract, we ask that you enter in 3 pieces of information, that you enter in your full name, your position, and then your organization. And when you click outside of the box, this will show up. Signature will appear here when the page is refreshed. And then you'll do the same thing for each of them You may notice for some of your computers, it'll populate whatever you put in. So you can go ahead and click that and it'll do the same. So you'll sign for each of those. And then if you refresh the page, it'll show that it's signed for. So once you have signed for all of those, you know that they're properly signed, you have read over your contract, you can go down to the most important signature down here, which is the final signature for your contract. And again, you're going to type your full name, your position, and then your organization that you're with, and then you'll click outside of it. And voila, your contract is completely signed. So the one other thing that I do want to show you, and with it being completely signed, this is it. You are finished. Your contract is good to go. If we need anything else from you, we will let you know. Or if you need to update your bank account information or provide direct deposit information, you can then submit that form. However, let's say that you are not the individual who needs to sign this contract. So whoever is the contact for your organization will have basically the control of the application. So if you scroll all the way down, this should look familiar to some of you who worked on the application. About midway down, you have a section called collaborators. So the person who's created your application has control over who can see and edit the application. So if you need someone else to sign this contract, like for example, if I shouldn't have signed the contract because I'm not the person with contractual authority, but say Kirsten can, I can add her as a collaborator and then I can give her permission to sign the contract right here. So this is a new box. So even if you added in your executive director or whoever needs to sign your contract at the beginning of this application process, and so they're on this list, if you have not logged into this account and specifically checked this box that they have permission, even if they're on the list, they won't have permission to do it yet. So everyone will need to log in and make sure that the person who needs to sign the contract has this box checked right here in order for that person to log in and sign it. If they've been added and they can see the application, but they don't have this box checked yet, when they go to the contract tab, they'll be able to see it, but they won't be able to type into any of those boxes to actually sign it. So let's say I need Kirsten to sign this for me. She's new, so I'm adding her and I'll invite her. And I want her to see the application and the evaluation as well. So you have to click application, and then in order for her to sign the contract, she does have to have that clicked. And then I'll go ahead and I'll click invite. So let's say I have to add a different address to her there. So if she's new, I add her like this. And let's say that this email address does not have a Zoom Grants account already. She will receive an email asking her to create an account. Now, her other email address was added in earlier. So let's say I need to give her the contract permission here. So I can click that. And now Kirsten has the ability to go in and sign that on her page. So that is how you log in and sign a contract, where you find all of the information for the contract and how to add a collaborator into this as well. I am going to go back to our chat at the moment, and if anyone has any questions about the contracts at the moment, we're going to go ahead and open up the chat to address any of those. But otherwise, if that answers everything that you need to know about the contract and you don't have additional questions, this is the end of the presentation part of this workshop, which hopefully we were able to get through that fairly expediently for you. Let's see. So Vicky asks, can you have more than one person with contract signatory permission? You can. That is completely up to you. You will only have one person actually sign it. But if you go back over, I'm going to head back over to here to the application. We're going to scroll down. So in this collaborators list here, let's pretend these aren't both Kirsten. Let's say they're different Kirstens. I have given them both permission to view and sign the contract. So you can give as many people permission to do that as you want, but ultimately only one of them will actually sign the contract. There won't be room for multiple signatures. Let's see. Cheryl Clough asks, where can I find the list of things that ZAP cannot fund? All right, so this is found in the application information up here. So if you scroll to the top of the application, we closed a bunch of things. There's one section here that says restrictions. So if you click that, this is the list of things that ZAP cannot fund. Rachel, yes. So the passport signups, you'll be receiving an email from me. I'm guessing it's going to be late January, and that will include information about that year's passport. And it will also include a link where you can go and submit your destination information via a form. Hopefully the process will be even smoother than last year because we've learned a few things to try to make it a little bit easier. In the meantime, if you have any questions about it, feel free to give me a call or send me an email and we can chat. And we're hoping that that'll all be even bigger and better next year. If anyone has any additional questions, or if after you leave this you realize that you had something that you needed answered, please don't hesitate to send me an email. So if you need to contact Kirsten or I, here are our email addresses and our numbers. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything at all, if you have any technical troubles with Zoom grants, if you end up with any technical questions about your contract. We are so excited for this next year with all of you and really looking forward to seeing everything that you're doing. And please keep in touch and let us know about the exciting things that you have happening so that we can communicate any invitations you have to the board and that we can share out as much as we can on our social media. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar, and we will talk to you all later. Oh, and just as a reminder, your contract deadline signing, we'd love to have it signed by October 25th. If you're having any problems moving up to that date, please give me a call, and then we're happy to help.